I'm glad we're doing this in a conversation way, instead of just me talking to the camera. And I think it's helpful because when clients work with me on marketing their businesses, private practices as therapists or coaches or um, freelancers, when they just start, they think that online marketing is this whole different beast that is very different from everything they've been doing all their lives. And it's actually not. It's just a conversation, and we've been talking all our lives. So it's just a different way of talking. So maybe you can tell me what is the goal um, for you with online marketing? What would you like to achieve? What's the end goal?
Hmm. Well, I suppose as a therapist who has never worked online,
Mm-hmm.
I'm really starting with a blank slate
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and no presence
Mm-hmm.
online at all.
Yeah. So you want to be found, right?
Mm-hmm.
And um, you want to build a private practice, right? Um, so I think it would be important to think for a second the way that a potential client thinks, right? If you would be looking for a therapist, what would you do? What would be the first thing?
Um, I suppose maybe the first thing would be a Google search
Mm-hmm.
with keywords like therapist, the area,
Mm-hmm.
and if I'm looking for a specific orientation.
Yeah. So you would search what you want on Google. That, yeah.
Intuitively, so
Mm-hmm.
probably.
Yeah. Okay. Let's say you find a few different results.
Mm-hmm.
What would you do next?
I will go to their website
Okay.
if they've come up as results.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes in my experience, I've also found links to like Therapy Today or,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
journals online or professional bodies. And
Yeah.
somehow that feels a bit of a guarantee. But even then, I would go to the website because I want to see them and I want to have a sense of the person and what message they're conveying.
Yeah. So you either go to their personal website
Mm-hmm.
or to a directory, right, where they
Mm-hmm.
have a listing.
Usually both.
Mm-hmm. Um, and when you're at a directory listing or their website, what are you looking for? What's the first thing that you're looking for?
Mm-hmm. As I said, if I'm looking for a specific orientation, I will
Like what,
search for
for
that.
example?
I don't know, if I'm looking for a couple, I might say pact.
Yeah.
Or if I want somebody who's person centered or emotion focused therapy or
Mm-hmm.
something like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you might be more specific, um, and you might be looking for keywords that are you already know. When you already know what you want exactly, you might be
Yes.
doing a more narrow search.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking some clients might look under issues like trauma,
Okay.
anxiety, depression. Probably that's another way of
Yeah.
finding a therapist.
So they might be thinking about their problem, right?
Yes.
And they might not be searching a service provider specifically, but they might be searching their problem,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, because I think as a therapist, I'm thinking of orientation, but in my experience, most clients don't really care or know much
Yeah.
about your trainings and
Yeah.
orientation.
Mm-hmm. So, for example, if I'm having difficulty with my family members,
Right.
I might say, what might I say in Google search?
Family issues or
Family issues. Yeah.
therapy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or might look for a family therapist in Boulder, Colorado, right?
Yes.
So location is important as well. So uh, statistics show that people usually spend 3 seconds on the website. So you need to make a good first impression, right? For you, when you search for a service provider, even when you buy something on Amazon,
Mm-hmm.
what's the first thing that you want to know?
That is reliable.
That it's reliable. Why is that important?
In the specific case of an object, I want to know that I'm making a good purchase, right?
Yeah. And with a service provider.
I want to have a sense that they're professional. They know what they're talking about, and there is some solid background, and they're not just improvising something. Yeah.
How can you know? Because the content was written by an interested party, right? The photos, they can be done by a good photographer. How would you know that the person is reliable?
Well, I suppose this is a bit multifaceted, right?
Of course.
Because for me, the first thing is the feel of the website. And that already makes me feel if I'm aligned or not.
Yeah. What do you mean by feel?
There are some websites that just look improvised and they don't give me a sense of somebody who has put enough care in this.
And that you feel the feel even before you read the content?
And I can actually go away.
Yeah.
Even if the images they've chosen I don't like.
Yeah. And that's a great point, because it's good news and bad news. If you look for a therapist in your hometown, for example, you will probably see that 90% of it might look like MySpace. So very old fonts that are, it's hard to read, right? It's not very usable. Photos that are not professional. You can't really find your way around, and you don't know exactly what is this about, right? What other elements might impact the way that you don't really feel good about the website?
Well, also if the copy is too dense, too long,
if it's too long,
and I kind of want a strong immediate message, and then if I want to know more, I want to have the choice to go and know more.
Yeah, so you want to have a strong and clear message before you even start reading.
Yeah, before I invest time in.
Yeah.
We're all under a lot of time pressure, right?
Yeah. So the good news is as you build your online presence, you can stand out by having a professional website with a clear message and by learning good ways to be found online, right?
Yes.
And in a way, it translates for people, for potential clients, as experience, right? Because if I see a website that's professionally built, and in the case of a therapist, for example, I want to make sure that they have their life together, and that they will take care of me like they take care of the business, right?
Yes.
So that's a good sign for me. Well, they put the time and the effort to making sure that their website looks good, for example.
Yes.
Right? And why is it important for you to have a clear message right away?
Well, both because I want to know what they're about immediately, whether to choose to go beyond. But it's like you're saying, in a meeting, we sort of immediately choose who to invest in a social situation, and if we want to bring that dialogue forth or not. That's the same with a website.
Yeah.
So both the picture and the aesthetics of the website and their copy and what they're saying, everything signals to me this is somebody I want to enter in dialogue with or not. Or deepen the understanding and the knowing of this.
So you're saying that the first thing you want to know, that what you found is what you were looking for, right? If you were looking for a family therapist, you want to see this is family therapist right away, right?
True.
And maybe something strong that would give a first impression of the person. Okay, so let's say you had a good first impression, you stayed on the website. What will you do then? What's the next step?
What the offerings are.
Services.
Yes.
Why would you go to services next?
Because I want to know if what I'm looking for is there.
Okay.
So are they offering couple therapy? Are they offering teenager? So I want to know what they offer, if they offer one-to-one or groups, or if there are events on the website, if there's any free material that I can access, like a YouTube video, so that I can even have more a sense. Yeah. So
let's say you're looking for couples therapy. So you go to the service page. And what are you looking for when you look at the service page, the specific one?
Well, you mean in terms of the menu? Because I will look at the text, or once I'm already there?
Yeah, exactly. Once you're already there. What's important for you?
Well, just that it's very clearly spelled what the offerings are. So couple therapy, and what kind of couple therapy they do, what kind of trainings they have, and how they approach this type of therapy.
Yeah. So you want to see expertise.
Sure.
Yeah. What else is important for you?
Then it would be important the way in which they approach this, and what's their philosophy behind this.
Yeah. How would you feel if, besides the expertise and the trainings and the education and all of that, while you read the information, you get a sense that the person knows exactly what you are going through?
Oh yeah, that would be for sure the first selling point for me.
Why?
Because I would feel this person knows and feels me intimately and knows what I'm going through, and it's almost like there is an immediate sense of contact already established.
Contact, exactly. So you already started the conversation with the service provider, a therapist in this case, even before you talked to them, right?
Yes.
So this is the thing exactly. This being a conversation, if the person just talking about their education, right? It's kind of like you're having a conversation with a friend, and the friend is talking for hours, and you have no space to say anything, right? But what happens if they ask you, how are you doing, right? What if they can, empathize with what you're going through? What if they share something that's related from their life, right? What if they're being vulnerable, and how will that make you feel when connecting to a therapist on their website?
Well, of course, there's a sense of being felt and empathically met, and as I was saying, there's a sense of establishing contact even before meeting them.
Yeah.
And then also the thing is, like, this person is not going to approach it just as an expert. They are actually going to bring also their humanness to this encounter, and that's somehow reassuring.
Yeah.
And they know intimately what they're talking about through expertise and through their own personal journey.
Yeah. How would you feel if you would compare those two examples? One, Nicoletta got her degree from Europa University. She has been working with couples for the last 5 years. She uses this and this approach. She understands that, and so on. And the second example, do you keep on having the same fight again and again and again, right? Do you find yourself in an endless loop of disconnection, right? And then I'm Nicoletta. I've been there. I know how it feels like.
Yeah.
I use my education from Europa University and my training with emotional focus therapy to help couples reconnect, because it's something that's really important for me. So how did you feel with the first example? How did you feel with the second example?
Well, the first is very flat and it's not flat. There's a flat affect.
Yeah.
And the second one is inviting me in immediately. Both bringing in my experience, being interested, as you were saying, in the experience of the dialogue with a friend, and their sharing of themselves. I think this is why somehow the therapeutic websites are less alluring than the ones of coaching. There's a lot of people out there that use what you're saying and they feel so much more like taking you in.
Mm-hmm.
Because they reveal more of their own journey and how
Yeah.
they became the expert in it.
Yeah. And I really believe that today is a very good day to do marketing because it's all about authentic connection. I think that even huge brands starting to shift towards human connection.
Yes.
And towards connecting with specific people.
Yes.
And it's important for therapists, of course,
Mm-hmm.
to show yourself in an authentic way.
Yes.
And I think it's important for any business in terms of I work with a person, right? It doesn't really matter what the service is. Mm-hmm. Just want to make sure that I can trust the person and they get me, they get what I need, and they know how to solve my problem, right?
Yeah. I think there's an inherent fear as a therapist to market in that way because we have been in some form of trainings more than others, but there's this thing of not being the blank slate,
Mm-hmm.
but surely the disclosure of self in therapy has been for a long time questioned, and how much do you do of that? Yeah. So there's this fear for us of being, it's a bit of a of a threshold for us.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. And I think it's the same, very true for therapists, but the same thing for any business, right? Mm-hmm. If I'm a photographer and I want my photographs to speak for me. Why should I be telling about myself, right?
Yes.
And as a therapist, you expect others to trust you, mm-hmm. to tell their most intimate stories, right? Mm-hmm. But you, on the other hand, can't do that for them on your website, right? In a way.
It's a paradox, isn't it?
Yeah. It doesn't have to be.
Yes.
So what happens, let's say you're convinced, you spent the time on the website and it feels like a potentially good fit. What will you do then? What's the next step in your search?
I was going to say call them, but truly I wouldn't, because I really feel like, for me personally and for clients, I imagine how hard it is to make that first call.
Yeah.
So before I make the call, I would probably look at their blog and have a sense of what they're blogging about.
Okay.
Testimonials, how have the other people who worked with them felt with them.
Yeah. So the more information you can get, the closer you will feel. Right?
Yeah. It's almost up to steps, so to even relieve a little bit the anxiety of calling this person.
It's like a second date and a third date, right?
Right, yes.
And you want it to be easy, right? You don't want to be searching, going outside again to Google and searching maybe them in a directory, right? It all should be fast and easy within a website. Just click a blog, read a little bit of something that catches your attention. If they have a testimonials tab on the menu, just click there, right?
Yes.
And it all takes seconds.
Yeah.
If they have links during their text, let's say on their couples therapy, that takes you to, let's say, I got my education form, and they can click on education and just scrolls down to. So you basically allow a dynamic conversation with you, right? So that they can ask you questions without you being there.
Yes.
So what do you do then? Let's say you read some blog posts. It feels like they know what they're talking about, and you like the way they talk about it. You saw some good testimonials from clients, and they're all, let's say, if it's a therapist, they're all anonymous, so it's also ethical. What do you do then?
I was going to say probably sending a message will be less scary than calling.
Yeah.
So have a possibility to reach them like that at first.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if they offered like a 15 minutes consultation which I can book myself without having to do the booking on the phone or something. At least for me, it relieves my anxiety.
Yeah. So if they give you the option A to find in an easy and fast way a way to contact them without just calling them, that would be helpful.
Yes.
And if you can pass this whole thing of sending messages back and forth and just go ahead and book a free phone consultation, right? Which is a nice gesture anyway, right? That makes it even easier for you, right?
It's more likely for me, and as I'm feeling in the, you know, it would be more likely for me to actually book a consultation. Than to have to go through a phone call or even sending a message, because there are moments in your life when you're like, what am I even going to write in this message? How am I going to tell them what I'm looking for?
So it's really a lot of work, time and commitment on your end as a client to go through this whole process of looking for someone, going to the website. And you didn't say it, but I'm assuming that this therapist wouldn't be the only person you would be looking at, right? You might compare the website to other websites.
For sure. Yes, I would do some shopping around before.
Okay, so let's say you booked a call and you're on the call. What do you need to hear from the therapist to actually schedule the first meeting?
I don't know if it's what I need to hear. I think the first thing would be the in-person sense, or if this person feels really available and welcoming and is genuinely interested in what I'm bringing.
So it's kind of like with the website. It's about the first emotional connection, right? Yeah. And if you feel welcome, then you continue the conversation, right?
Yes. Yeah. For sure. So it's the first impact of that contact. How does this feel? Am I feeling heard, listened to, felt, empathically attuned? You know, all those qualities more than what I hear.
Yeah. What else is important for you to happen on this consultation call so you would feel confident that, it's worth a try?
I think that for me would be a little bit twofold. Like on one point, there needs to be an invitation to come into their space. So their relational offering. And at the same time, also the respect for my time of choice. And so if I feel that they're not, pulling me too strong, but also respecting that I will need some time to reflect and extend that sense of respect for my own choice in a way. So
that's interesting. You don't even talk about details about how they work on all of that. That's not what you're looking for. Right? You're looking for to see if you can connect on a human level, right?
Yeah, and it's strange. When I have chosen a therapist, I think very rarely I have chosen them on the basis of their qualification. I think I've really chosen them, from the heart and the gut.
It's funny. There's a research that's been done on how interviewers make their decisions about employing people, and I don't remember the exact number, but I think it's they make their decision within the first few minutes, right?
Yes.
So you heard about this as well, right? Why do you think it's so fast?
Well, I also think that there are languages that we don't even speak about, that, there's communication that happens between our bodies that goes way beyond the level of communication. There's a meta-communication happening. And instinct, I mean, it's almost like an animal thing. There's probably smell and who knows.
So we'll communicate on different levels. Why does it happen so fast? It's obviously not enough time for the interviewer to get a clear understanding of their skills as a potential employee.
Yeah, I do believe it's an instinctual, it's like a survival mechanism.
very fast emotional decision, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And emotions precede cognition, I think.
Yeah. And those are great news for you when you market your private practice or any business, because you are in complete control of this first impression that people get to see, and it's constant. So the website that one person will access tomorrow will look exactly the same in 3 days from now to a different person.
Yeah.
So once you created something and it feels good, it would work in the same way constantly. And you can always improve it and improve it, improve it.
And I'm also thinking that in a way, it's also like, if I really represent myself with that authenticity that you're inviting into this thought, it's also like I am going to actually attract the right people to work with me.
Exactly.
And other people will be attracted to other forms of therapists for whom that match is going to be much better for them.
Yeah, that's a great point. So it's not just a way to for the potential clients to filter their service providers. It's a way for you as a service provider to filter out the potential clients, right?
Yes. It's not like you have to look for or create your market niche.
Yes.
And the moment in which you present yourself with that authenticity, you are sort of automatically carving your niche.
Yeah. And we'll be talking about this when we'll be building your website and the content for it. Because at the end, you want to enjoy your work, right? You want to be helping the people you want to be helping. And if you fill your time with working with your perfect clients, you will probably be doing it for longer. You will enjoy it more, and you will be helping people better, right?
Yes, like they really have that resonance with their work.
Yeah, perfect.